Welcome to Discovering. It's cold, but the ice fishing goes on. Kristen was in the Channing area for the annual Tip Up Town Ice Fishing Derby.
Oh, this one might make it.
And we'll take a look back at some pre-discovering history with the dog sledding show I did in Ontario back in 2011. Stick around, that's all tonight, right here on Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
As Brian mentioned last week, there is no shortage of ice fishing tournaments here in the UP.
Tip up!
The first weekend in February is the Tip Up Town Ice Fishing Tourney on Sawyer Lake, just outside Channing. And this year was a cold one, with temps in the single digits and a wind chill well below that. But that didn't scare everyone away.
And this year there's not as many people because of the weather, but we can tough it out in here. Little pike, gonna pickle them, nothing too big.
We're running Tip Up Town of the UP here today. It's a small admission price of $10 for a button. We've changed things over the years, and we've kind of morphed into exclusively a fishing contest. This is actually our 47th year doing this event. And it's really, I've gotten some very positive feedback from the people who braved the cold today to be out here. On a good year, we can do about 200 adults, 230 adults on a good year, and probably 50 kids on a good year. I hope to be around half of that this year with the weather conditions the way they are. We're doing the fishing contest on either lake, here on Lake Eddy or on Sawyer Lake across the street. There's some people coming in now with some fish, and we have to do some measuring.
Like many ice fishing tournaments, this one is all about the kids. I met up with Barb Carey from Women on Ice and her many nieces and nephews.
So there was a tip up, right? And then what happened?
And then I was pulling it in, and then we went and registered it.
Oh, and how big was it? Do you remember? No? Think you'll win something? Maybe a prize or something?
Can I fish?
Yeah, but you just got here, so you're gonna fish. You guys, you've ice fished before, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think I've taken you each year. We come here, don't we? Mm-hmm. What do you like about Tip Up Town?
Maybe because there's lots of fish.
Lots of fish?
Yeah. It's shaking.
Because the minnow's scared because there's a big fish swimming nearby. See? See that rod tip?
Mm-mm.
Look that's a nervous minnow right there. That's what that is. That means a big fish is looking at it.
Bree told me that there was a fish on there, so I reeled it in, and I got it. It was a pike, and then me and my dad, it was small enough, so we let it go. It was too small, so we let it go, but me and my dad did it together.
And what do you like about Tip Up Town?
I get to have my family here, and we all get to ice fish and compete for it. Yep.
What else are you hoping to catch?
Another pike.
Another pike?
Yeah, like a bigger one.
It's right there. It's
Yeah.
coming to look at you. Give it a little jiggle, maybe.
See if I'm worth eating. What I like about it is just it feels good to catch a fish, and sitting in the tent I'm doing it. It's fun also. Instead of standing on a dock or in a boat, I think it's funner.
Oh, now you're eyeing up that rod. If it goes again, you're going to be on it, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's really cold out today. Is it too cold for you to go out ice fishing?
No, I think it's perfect.
You think it's perfect?
Yeah.
People my age have horror stories of sitting on a bucket on the lake with their grandpa. And ice fishing is a real bad memory for them. But nowadays, with the technology and the clothing and these pop-up huts and portable heaters, I mean, you stay plenty warm. So it's kind of discouraging when people say, oh, it's just too cold to go outside, because this is like the perfect scenario. If you have the right clothes and the right gear, you don't get cold. And I'd sure hate to miss a day with the family in this kind of community activity just because it was a little cold out. And when you see kids running around and families enjoying this day together, and all in, you know, to support a good cause with the community. And that's why these little festivals are so important, because ordinarily people wouldn't come out today because it's so cold, but because of Tip Up Town, they've made that extra effort, and the kids are going to remember this forever. I mean, I got my passion for ice fishing from a fishery my dad took to me, and when I was 8 years old, and I won a prize for the smallest fish. And you know, 50 years later, I still have that passion, and I ice fish as much as I can. So these little community events are really important for that.
Well, today we have prizes available for northerns, walleyes, bluegills, perch, and crappies.
What you got here? Oh, this one might make it. I think so.
No one's got the link to them.
21 and a half. You made the board there, pal.
Can you grab your fish, Buster?
We're actually running, in reality, 3 different contests today. There's one for adults, which has cash prizes. One for kids 17 and under, which is trophies as well as fishing prizes for the kids. And something new this year, the Women on Ice are doing a catch and release prize for anyone who catches fish and wants to let them go back into the lake. There'll be some merchandise prizes, some nice clam jig poles and stuff from her sponsors.
A couple days ago, I was catching really big bluegills. And, you know, it's so important to let those big fish go to reproduce. So otherwise, a fish can get easily let go or fished out. So being able to pass that lesson along with how to do it right and how to preserve the resource. And I harvest fish to eat all the time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not take as many as you can all the time. Select harvest is really important. So we kind of got some prizes together, but Clam Outdoors donated a lot of prizes, and so did Recycled Fish. We have these plastic bags that people can put the fish in and keep them in water, because if you keep fish outside in this frigid temperature, they're not going to survive anyway. So we want to teach how to properly care for fish that you want to release, so they do have a chance of staying alive after you get them out of the water. Obviously, we want to put them back as soon as they can. In these fishery situations where they want to register them, we provided bags that hold the fish with water, and then we're able to safely release them. So we just want to get that conversation going and start educating people about how important that is.
Come on! Come on, Timmy!
You're pulling the line. Keep pulling. Keep pulling. Yeah, pull the line. Oh! Look what you got! Did it scare you? Look at that! You caught one! Look at the fish!
I need my gloves.
See it? You want to give it a kiss?
We just reset this.
On our way to go register Riley's fish, we stopped to watch another youth catch a pike.
What's your number?
What's your number? 85.
What's your name?
Caleb.
You have 20? Okay.
This is Finley Carey.
20-inch Northern Pike, Finley Youth Division.
Earlier in the day, Barb saw a shack cruising across the ice on its own, so of course we had to go and check it out.
Just a mobile ice shack. We wanted to have an ice shack that you could just drive out and change spots if you want. And so we built it. I get a lot of looks. They'll look once and then look again, like, because it's so slow. Like, did I just see that thing move? You know, it's not fast like a snowmobile or a four-wheeler where you actually can see it moving. You get a couple double takes. It's a zero-turn lawnmower and convert it into, and then you just build a frame around it and shack and windows and holes and whatnot. And that's the controls. It steers like a skid steer or bulldozer. Just whichever way you want to go, it'll just spin around in circles. And slush it doesn't really like, but snow it's all right. Big snow banks it doesn't like, but if you just plan your road, it's no big deal. It's slow though. It's 2 miles an hour. You don't have to take everything down and pack everything up, and the only thing you got to do is drill new holes. And you're in the warmth.
Right.
Especially on a day like today.
So you don't even have to get out to drill the holes?
You don't have to. I drill them from the outside and then just pull over. There was a older gentleman on Discovery, probably, I'm just going to guess 20 years ago, maybe longer. He has a last name of Podner. He built one, and he had, it was a lawnmower rear end off of it, so it could steer too. I remember seeing it on the Discovery, but I don't remember much about it. It's just that he made a mobile ice shack too. And I thought, well, let's try it.
Back inside the lodge, there were more fish to measure.
Go up there.
Is that another one of them Walmart specials? Huh?
No fishing tournament is complete without good food. And of course, prizes at the end of the day. There's nothing better than watching a kid catch a fish. If you have the chance to take a kid fishing, do it. Whether it's your own, your friends, or your nieces and nephews, check with your local sportsman's club and find a tournament. You never know, you might just help to make a lifelong angler.
Auntie Barb, I went in second place. First place. And,
Tell me what you get.
I get new fishing bowl and a toy.
The Upper Peninsula is host to a number of great sled dog races. Mushers and their trusty teams come from every direction to hook up and silently glide through the UP wilderness. One of those mushers, whose name you'll typically find in the UP 200 lineup, is Joanna Oberg.
Well, we're back at the Midnight Run again. We were here last year for the first time, 2012, and I won the Midnight Run last year. It was my rookie run, and I got Rookie of the Year awards as well as Best Cared For Team award last year, and so we had so much fun on the trails. We wanted to come back and try it again. We're hoping to do maybe a repeat performance if possible, but it's always a lot of tough competition at this race, so we're looking forward to the trail and running the dogs, and it takes a lot of work to get ready for this race. We've got over 1,000 miles on the dogs. You know, we start in the fall training and getting them ready for this and running through the winter, and so it's a lot of work that leads up to this race and all the races I have after this.
I met Joanna and the rest of the family several years ago while filming at the remote fishing lodge in Ontario, where we spent a day dog sledding through the peaceful Canadian wilderness.
It's nothing quite like being out in the woods when it's all still and quiet, traveling my dog team. It's such a unique way to travel. The nice thing about traveling by dog team is you're more likely to see wildlife. They're so quiet when they're moving that unless the animals smell you coming, they don't always hear you coming. So you can surprise lynx or moose or deer, fox, and I've had rabbits and squirrels right under the dogs' noses before. But yeah, it's just neat, just all the nature experiences that we get out here. And the thing about dog sledding is you never know what's going to happen. My dad says you have to kind of expect the unexpected, and I like that about it. Maybe that's why I'm drawn to it, other than my love for dogs and the outdoors. it's just always an adventure. You never know what each run and each mile of the trail is going to be different. The dogs are each individuals. They're not robots, they're not machines. You never know what they might do. They might have a bad day or have a good day, or you just have to kind of work with them and make them a cohesive unit. They all are teammate members, and they have to work together, learn to work together as a team. And some dogs don't like running next to other dogs, so you have to rearrange to kind of keep the team harmony intact. And so it's just always exciting, always adventure, and live with dogs. You have to be patient. They're all very special, and we give them a lot of love and attention. People sometimes feel sorry for them, but it's not like we're making them pull. They love to do it. The hard part is usually holding them back, and they do get tired or they get sore and things like that. But you always got to make sure you give them enough rest and take good care of them. And
Such a pretty trail, too.
my dad came up with the name Run Silent. One day my dad had the day off. He used to be a truck driver and was gone a lot. So he had a day off, and I'm like, well, Dad, I want to give you a ride because you're always helping me with the dogs and at the races and with their care and everything, and I want to, let you experience what it's like, what I'm getting to enjoy out there. And we didn't get going till late afternoon, and so it got dark on us out there, but running under the full moon, it was just beautiful. We were on some rivers and lakes and through the woods and just kind of a mixture of terrain. And he was like, wow, it's amazing how they truly run silent because they're so noisy. And when you're hooking up and everything, and when you're gonna, run them, they get very excited to go. And then as soon as you release that snub line, it's like just silent, just absolutely silence. And that's what that first dog sled ride he had with the full moon and running dogs into the full moon is when he came up with the name Run Silent. Come on, Haley. Atta girl. There you go.
We have people as involved as they want to be in everything that we're doing, harnessing dogs. Joanna gives a class and explains things, questions and answers.
Things can happen fast with dog sledding, so you just have to be alert. Just like driving a car, you're always alert, paying attention to your dogs, mostly your leaders, because they're the steering wheel of your team. Watching the trail ahead of you, planning how you're going to steer the sled. They have to learn commands for the dogs, steering the sled. Never let go of the sled. This is your handlebar. You always want to have a good grip on your handlebar, whether you're stopped or moving or tipped over and dragging. You always want to make sure you hang on.
And we do trips between a half day is approximately 11.5 miles or so, and a day trip is usually 20 to 25 miles. That's round trip, and depending on the conditions and how fast you go. So on a full day trip, we take people way out to a lake somewhere. We go past lots of other lakes depending on what trail we're on.
I always have some sled dogs to run and more trails to go down and explore. I love exploring new trails. I think the dogs love it as much, if not more, than I do. And I love seeing their enthusiasm for the trail and for what lies ahead. I love the bond with the dogs that you get. I love taking care of them, even though it's a lot of work. But just the exhilaration of doing well at a race or just having a good run, even if I'm not racing, just having a good run and everyone did well. It's just a sense of accomplishment and teamwork. The magical moments that if you could bottle and capture those moments and sell them, you'd probably be a millionaire. It's hard to describe the beautiful sunsets that we see together and different wild animal encounters. It's just magical. It's just really, truly an adventure. I like that you never know what to expect. Every day is different, but just being out there with the dogs and working together as a team, and there's nothing really that can compare to that.
When cabin fever sets in, put on a pair of snowshoes and take a quiet walk in the woods and spend some time with nature. Or maybe try some cross-country skiing. And by all means, find out what it feels like to mush your own team of dogs. Find out what it feels like to run silent. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.